What's good, YouTube? Welcome back. Today we're going to be doing yet another AMARYLLIS video, which I do every now and again. AMARYLLIS really holds a special place in my heart because it is the first deck that I ever invented in Edison format, and it's probably one of the most popular slash most successful as well of all of my builds. I think AMARYLLIS is definitely at this point recognized and respected as like a high tier threat. If maybe not a top tier deck, but kind of up there in the periphery of the top tier decks as a competitive option for sure. So we're gonna be messing around with some technology that we kind of went over yesterday. We're gonna be exploring Shield Warrior. Now this is a piece of technology that my teammate Dimitri came up with, and I was really impressed by what I saw with it. From his AMARYLLIS build. So I decided I would try it out. I actually tried a good few versions with this card. So what this does is essentially, it's kind of like a worse Necro Gardener. Instead of just negating any attack, you banish it to protect a monster from being destroyed by battle. I know it's like worded kind of weird on here. It's not just like a Wabaku or anything like it might kind of seem. You use it in damage calc, and then in that damage calc, your monsters can't be destroyed. I don't know why it's worded this way. But yeah, so you can just use it to like protect a guy from being destroyed by battle if it's in your graveyard. So like I said, kind of like a worse Necro Gardener. You can't use it to stop damage. You can't use it to stop direct attacks, but you can use it to just protect a body, which is pretty good. Now, I tried this out first in a Lightsworn version. Obviously, it kind of makes sense, protecting like your Lumina and your Lilas and stuff. But actually, you can kind of just play like a bunch of Lilas in normal AMARYLLIS, which is a thing that people have definitely been doing a lot lately. And I've kind of warmed up to it. I really am liking the Lilas in here. So I didn't really like the Lightsworn build. I don't know if I ever made a discussion video about this or whatever, but I just like dislike playing multiple different draw engines in the same deck. Unless it's some like exception like Dragon Turbo. It just feels really like clunky and like bricky when you have like this half of the draw engine and you don't draw the right half with the other half of the draw engine. I like having one draw engine. I really love playing decks with a draw engine, but I just like having one. That's kind of where I'm at on that question. So I don't really like the Lightsworn version. Plus, the Lightsworn version sacrifices a lot of utility to just like max out on like turn one high roll nonsense, which it can be crazy, right? You can just like turn one do insane stuff in the Lightsworn build, but I wasn't feeling it. So I transitioned back to my regular version, and then I figured like, why not just put it in the volcanic counter version and just replace volcanic counter with Shield Warrior, right? Like, you could basically just do that, and it should be like the same thing, but with Shield Warrior instead of volcanic counter. Turned out we needed a few adjustments. I think, taking out like the Morphing Jar and the card destruction, since we're not playing this like super aggro burn variant anymore, was probably a right move. And then going over to discard traps again. I think Geki Break is very solid in this build of the deck, because there's a lot of stuff you draw you want to get out of your hand. So it took a little bit of smoothing out, but we got a version that we definitely liked here. So, of course, the same 10 plants. I'm not really a fan of Botanical Lion or Lord Poison. I don't think I'll ever warm up to those cards, probably. I guess I could maybe see, like, playing Tomatoes, or just, like, maybe you do max out on Botanical Lion, just if you want to get your plant count up for Miracle Fertilizer. The thing is, I really dislike Miracle Fertilizer. I mean, the card can be insane, for sure. I'm not saying that build is bad. It can definitely be ridiculous. It's just when I've tested it, it always feels like it's like conflicting with your other cards that want to banish all the plants from your graveyard, and then you want a special from the banish pile. I mean, the stacking restriction with Hidden Armory is pretty cool. I can definitely see that as an upside to playing Miracle Fertilizer. I've just never gotten a version of Miracle Fertilizer that I felt like worked for me. But away from that tangent, I decided to just go full out with Triple Lila. Since we're not playing the Lightsworn version, we do need a few more kind of payoff, is that the right word? Synergy with Shield Warrior. We need more things for Shield Warrior to protect. Protecting the plants is great. Like, the most convenient way to out Titanial is Mirror Torrential, but the second most convenient way is by battle. So if you can just protect it with Shield Warrior, it gets super obnoxious for them. And then also you can protect your Phoenixian Cluster AMARYLLIS. If you do some kind of turn one lone fire play, you can protect that. So Shield Warrior is really good for shielding the plants, but then also being able to protect Lila, being able to just go like summon Lila in the middle of Shield Warrior or something, and then they can't run it over, and they don't feel like they can set back row either. So you just get to chill on that Lila for another turn. Very good there as well. One other card that didn't make the cut is Foolish Burial. I could see maybe taking out this main deck Oppression, putting the Foolish back in. It is good to be able to get to your AMARYLLIS, but we play so many mill cards. It's like You would rather just mill it for free than have to Foolish for it. And I think if we're not playing Volcanic Counter, the utility of Foolish Burial definitely goes down. Like with Volcanic Counter, you can just randomly Foolish another counter and then like win the game or something, which is strong. But I think, in general, we're kind of bringing the ceiling down and going an alternative route here with the Shield Warrior is the idea. So, maybe Foolish you could throw back in. I think definitely Morphing Jar card destruction are coming out if we're replacing Volcanic Counter with Shield Warrior. I definitely like having the discard traps. So that's the deck. The side and the extra remain basically unchanged. We sort of just, like I said, we put in Shield Warrior over Volcanic Counter, and we switched up the build a little bit. We're going to be trying it out today, so let's look at some replays. So the first match we have, we are up against Machina. Really good matchup for the deck. Actually, it's kind of insane how many really good matchups the deck has. It's a lot like playing Quick Draw, where you feel like, dang, just like every matchup that isn't Blackwings, like every matchup that isn't specifically Blackwings, we're just killing it. And I think with Blackwings market share kind of declining, Vayu Turbo and, maybe Frogs eating up more top spots, I definitely think that's another good thing going for this build. It just feels like Hero Beat's a great matchup, Vayu's a great matchup, Machina's a great matchup. Maybe you struggle with Zombies a little bit because the Book of Life is annoying or something. I could see that. I'm not super familiar. I haven't played that matchup a whole ton, but yeah. We're going up against Machina here in any case, which is awesome because Raikou, Hamster, Caius, and even Fortress all just get owned by Titanial, right? Like all of them. And we have a really awesome hand here. Go straight in for the Titanial, trade in, draw 2 cards, and then swing. And we hit a Mirror Force, which, dang, I felt like people were drawing Mirror Force against me just all the time, which is annoying, obviously, because it's the one thing where Titanial gets completely owned by no matter what. And then our Amaryllis gets Caius, so that's not fantastic. We just go Lila after the back row here. DDR, get back out the Lone Fire, and then go into I think that's the last Titanial out of my deck. The one downside of getting all the Titanials out of deck ASAP is if you draw a second trade in here, it can be rough because then it's only you got to draw more Amaryllises or something. So we hit into Gores, not great, but we mill 3. We've got a Shield Warrior down there and an Amaryllis in rotation, a second one, after we got Caius on the first one. So they go ahead and swing into the Lila. I could protect this, but I think we want to save that Shield Warrior to protect our big guy, the Titanial, over the token. But the Titanial is going to have to trade here with the Caius. Still a nice 2-for-1 for us. We set the Necrogardna. Want to get this Torrential used here, definitely. And then, maybe play around Minecon or something. Not that I think they're playing that. So I see them summon Fortress, I'm just like, all right, I'm activating this. No shot I'm not activating this. Because, they're probably not playing that crazy into Mirror Torrential. So that's, it's another plus for us, so it's very good. They're going to summon the Trooper and swing in. We draw into that second trade-in I was talking about, so I decided to just set it. Hopefully it maybe eats some back row removal or something like that. I guess you could argue keep it in hand so you could pitch it for a DDR. A Geki Break is also an option. But, I wasn't thinking about that in that immediate moment. So we Raikou take out the back row, and then we swing in with the Phoenician Cluster Amaryllis and do a whole ton of damage. And at this point, they're kind of at the no-win situation, life point threshold. Once you get under 800, it's like, what the hell do you even do? You got to bounce the Amaryllis or you're in some trouble, which they can do. They actually have the compulsory, so we flip up the Raikou, but we can just tribute it back out, so it's very over for them, unfortunately. Yeah, summon the Amaryllis, swing, hit, deal 800, game over. So moving on to game number 2 against the Machina deck, we open up a pretty solid hand here. We eat a Trap Dust Shoot, which isn't great, but we can just get another Light Swarm. I actually go for the Lila. I was planning on getting the Raikou again. The fact that they put it back made me think that they didn't really want to deal with the Raikou in this situation. But I actually, since we mill Amaryllis plus a plant, I'm like, heck, I might as well just go for this Lila, try to threaten the back row, and then we have the Amaryllis in end phase anyway, and back row is a Solemn Judgment, which they could have used there, but, paying half against Amaryllis is just not something you really want to do. I think you should probably side out Judgment in this type of matchup. We do hit into Gores again, which is rough. Obviously, 2800 token going to be difficult to deal with, but here comes another Shield Warrior in the mill pile. Very helpful. They try to Brain. I think we definitely have to negate that. So they're going to swing in, and then the Shield Warrior coming in clutch, going to protect our guy. I don't know why they put this in attack. They definitely should have set it. I mean, it doesn't really change much, I guess, because we were still just going to Geki Break anyway. It's like the same thing would have happened, except I wouldn't have had to... Yeah, I don't know. It's just like the same thing. We would steal their guy, Geki Break the Set Monster attack for game, because Gores is gone, so it's... yeah, I don't know. Doesn't make much of a difference. Like I said, Machina is a really easy matchup. Their whole deck just loses to the Amaryllis deck, and the Shield Warriors was definitely pretty good there. So second match, and we are up against Blackwings, the aforementioned not good matchup. Let's see how we can do. Is the Shield Warrior helpful? Are the side deck cards pre enough for it? Let's see. So we're gonna open up. His hand is. It's just not that fantastic. We drew a little too many spell traps, basically. We'd like to have some more normal summons. The opponent sets everything first and then attacks, which I thought was odd. I decided to just take out the Raikou. I don't believe there's a Starlight Road. I think it's all just Legacy of Yada nonsense, which it is. Well, it's one Legacy of Yada, then it's two real back row. So here, we got the Shield Warrior. I decided to just set a Geki Break and bring the thing back. I decided Road would be pretty bad in this situation, so I don't just shotgun the Storm. He hits in, and then I think we Geki Break this, obviously. Don't really want that going through. Could Geki Break a back row, but it's like we have the Storm anyway to take him out, which is, I guess at this point we decided we don't think they have Road for after all, so we're going to get him with the Amaryllis, but then the problem is we're out of plants, because we just didn't draw any monsters. So we're not in a great spot here. Taking 17, we draw a second Shield Warrior. I mean, we can Geki Break at some point, but it's not fantastic. He makes a weird play where he decides to Collude and then Dad in main 2. So we're just going to take that out with the Geki Break. We are taking a lot of damage here, which is not good. We force out the Storm on the trade-in, which is basically what we wanted. He goes Allure, banishes his one guy, and then we are getting quite low here. We Raikou take out their monster. We hit a Plague, which is, I mean, it's something. We're dead to top deck Blizzard, I think, at any point here. So let's see, he hits over our Dandy. This time we're just going to try to take the Gale. He could have Icarus here, but I guess he wanted me to make a Synchro, so he could brain control, go for game, and then this forces us to like Geki Break our own guy, which is not a fantastic feeling. We draw into Royal Oppression, which is not too useful. It gets instantly Typhooned though, which is lucky that he just keeps shotgunning his removal like this. We draw into Lone Fire, which is an awesome draw. Just get in for huge damage, and I think after some consideration, I decided not to bring this back because I'm like, well, we would die to top deck Blizzard, but he just draws a dead Icarus attack, so yeah, not too good for him there. So we managed to pull that one out. Despite a little bit of a shaky start, I don't know, our hand wasn't that bad. Maybe we should have just Geki Braked that Bora straight off the bat rather than letting it do like 5,000 to damage to us over a couple turns. I could see that maybe having been the correct play. So, I mean, this game we just have Consecrated. So, good luck playing the game, Blackwing player. We legit just sit here under Lila, and then like every other turn we pop a card, and we're milling 3 every time too. And then we're also like, yeah, setting up our Amaryllises to burn his life points with the Royal Oppression. Here I think we just take it out so I can go for a DDR play, get back to Lone Fire, go into the Titanium. Steal this was super greedy. We know he has Collude, but if it's Deep Prison specifically, we get kind of owned here. I guess we could still negate, and then we get more mills. Unfortunately, this is a really bad time to hit the Dandy. I probably should have clogged my board with the Amaryllis because I actually don't know what happens with the Mark in the standby phase. If anyone knows what happens there with that ruling, that is nice. Fortunately, he just storms it. I guess he just didn't want to find out. I don't know. Maybe he just didn't think he was getting value out of the storm much because of the deck's back row light and all of that. But either way, we have a kind of clogged board, and we do have to worry about decking out potentially. So I think we need to be doing something. He actually tries to book the Consecrated and then hit over. We do have the Shield Warrior to protect. Very nice there. No searching from the deck for you. And then he runs over the Lila. I just let it happen because I want it off my field so that I don't mill myself to death. We hit him with the Amaryllis. Collude, that's fine. We just summon out the Conch, bring out 2 Amaryllises, Amarilli, whatever. He tries to Brain Take. And here I think we made a little bit of a misplay. I should have Gardened this. I guess the thinking with Shield Warrior is we can save Gardener for when we're like a dying to Piercing later or something if that comes up. But I think we maybe should have just been greedier here and then said, I'm going to keep both my Amaryllises around so we can really push next turn. But we draw into a monster, so I guess it's fine. It eats a Bottomless. I mean, we'd have run over both of these and done 16 and then brought back more, so I think we probably should have just used the Gardener there. It definitely like slowed down our clock, and then we managed to bring out the last Amaryllis. I just want to keep summoning Amaryllis. We draw Burial, which is sweet. Since we're low on resources here, we can just use that to get everything back. But at this point, I think we're just winning this turn with DDR, bring back Lone Fire, get a Titanium out of deck. And then unless he has Collude, this should just be GG, hitting over the Shura for 600 plus 800 is 14, plus 28 is 42, so he's just already dead there. So we're going to take it over Blackwings as well. I gotta say, the Shield Warriors felt really solid. I think they're actually kind of helpful in the Blackwing matchup, too. It stops their Shura nonsense. It doesn't stop the piercing, but it also stops them from, like, colluding over your Titanials or Sirocco pumping, hitting over your Titanials. Like, one of the big issues with the Blackwing matchup is that they can just, like, completely, like, own your Titanial with all their different cards, right? They just kill it for free. But if they can't just kill it for free, it actually becomes a problem for them, too. And Shield Warrior is really helpful with that, because like I said, you can just, they collude it. It's basically the same as like with Honest. You know, you can just protect it with your Shield Warrior, keep it around, and then stop all the Icarus attacks and the Deep Prisons and the Brain Controls and the Dark Arm Dragons. So it kind of, it's like, this is the one matchup where Titanial isn't an insane boss monster, but the Shield Warrior sort of band-aids that, which is pretty cool. I think the main moral of this deck is actually that just Titanial's an insane boss monster, one of the strongest in the whole format. Being able to just endlessly negate targeting effects if you can vomit enough plants on the board, which this deck does exceptionally well. So I think the Shield Warrior definitely fits nicely into the strategy. I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of the Dimitri tech. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought of the matches. Let me know what you thought of the deck, and I'll see you next time.